To answer your question about David Weiss being special counsel, you just have to look at what he allowed to occur during this investigation. There are key witnesses we weren't allowed to interview, that we weren't allowed to ask all the questions of certain people we interviewed. People were tipped off that we were coming before the day of action. There were enforcement operations, to include search warrants, where a probable cause was agreed to by the prosecutors that weren't allowed to happen.
Well, that was IRS Criminal Investigation Special Agent turned whistleblower Gary Shapley joined me yesterday on Sunday Morning Futures on how the Biden administration blocked key witnesses from testifying against President Biden's son, Hunter. This, as former top Ukrainian prosecutor Viktor Shokin told Fox News this weekend that Hunter Biden was recruited by Burisma to, quote, provide protection while the company engaged in illegal activities. Shokin said Joe Biden took bribes, is what Viktor Shokin is alleging. Joining me right now is Michigan Congresswoman Lisa McClain. She's a member of the House Oversight, Armed Services, Education, and Budget Committees. Congresswoman, thanks very much for being here this morning. You've seen a lot being on the Oversight Committee. You have uncovered so much for the rest of us to understand about the Biden family. What is your take on what Viktor Shokin said, that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden took bribes from Burisma?
Well, it fits exactly in line with what we thought was true, and then with what the evidence was true. So in the Oversight Committee, and I have to give credit to Jamie Comer, I have to give credit to these whistleblowers, you start with a concept that something just doesn't seem right. Then you go and you do some investigations with the bank records, with the IRS records, with the whistleblowers, with actual people who were in the room to corroborate the story. And what we're finding is everything that we thought is true, that this is a corrupt administration, a corrupt president that is using his positional power, and his family is using his positional power to make money and really put the American people at risk. We have the forensic evidence. The whistleblowers have come forward. At the end of the day, this is corruption at its finest, and we can't even get the DOJ to prosecute. I mean, it's a two-tier justice system if I'd ever seen it, if I've ever seen one. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if that's all true, then what are you waiting for? Why aren't we seeing an impeachment inquiry underway right now?
Well, I think if you hang on just a little bit longer, I think you'll see it really quickly. What we're doing is instead of what our colleagues do on the other side of the aisle is get their 15 minutes of fame and impeach on a whim, what we're actually doing is gathering facts, gathering a case. We've done more in the last 5.5, 6 months since we've started this investigation than the whole DOJ has done in the past 5.5, 6 years. So what we're doing is we're doing an impeachment investigation, right? We are getting our facts, getting the bank records, getting the SARS reports, getting the testimony. So then when it does come time to impeach, right? We only have a 4-vote margin. We know it's going to be tough, but we will actually have a forensic fact-based case to show the American people, and it won't be on a whim. So be patient for just a little bit longer.
And the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, joined me yesterday going through some of these things, saying that President Biden has turned U.S. politics into a culture of corruption. As the GOP continues to uncover more evidence. Here's Kevin McCarthy with me yesterday. Will you bring an impeachment inquiry against President Biden this September?
If you look at all the information we've been able to gather so far, it is a natural step forward that you would have to go to an impeachment inquiry. And just so your viewers understand what that means, that provides Congress the apex of legal power to get all the information they need. Because remember what's laying out there right now. We have an attorney general that could have lied to the American public.
Congresswoman, what about this in the face of the other battle that you all are about to undertake, and that is to keep the government funded past September 30th? Are you going to be able to do both things simultaneously, an impeachment inquiry as well as getting the votes to rein in spending?
The short answer on that is yes. Is it going to be tough? Yeah. Is it going to be a lot of work? Yes. But I think we're prepared to do that, right? With the leaders that we have and the chairman that we have and the speaker that we have, I think we are absolutely ready to do both. And we've been working on this since really January to be able to do both. But I will caution the American people, it's going to be messy. It's not going to be smooth sailing. There will be a lot of debates. Democracy is messy, but I can assure the American people the government won't shut down. And if it shuts down, it won't be on the Republican watch. And we'll be able to continue these investigations and continue to do what's right with fact base for the American people as it pertains to the impeachment investigations.
Well, what's your take on all of these cabinet members going to Beijing after the evidence that you've uncovered in terms of money taken in by the Biden family from China? Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo has a 4-day trip underway in China this week. She's on day 2 of a 4-day trip. She said that the U.S. sees no room for negotiation on national security, Congresswoman, but Beijing is trying to get the U.S. to continue to, import or export, rather, technology to Beijing. Most people I've spoken with about the president's executive order on limitations to sending technology to Beijing, they say that it was not strong enough. First of all, it doesn't take effect for a year, and it's very narrow in scope. Roger Robinson was on with me telling me that it's so narrow. Gordon Chang, Jonathan Ward. Your thoughts on the China-U.S. relationship right now and all of these cabinet members going to travel hat in hand to Beijing?
Well, look, we've known since the beginning of this presidency that this president is weak on China, and he's demonstrated that over and over again. And it's playing out right now, whether it's a military action that China does and we downplay it, we call it unprofessional, whether it's a spy balloon that China sends and we wait 5-7 days before we shoot it down, whether it's China buying farmland next to farmland next to our military bases. I mean, it's laughable.
Yeah,
we look weak again on the American stage.
I'm wondering how weak we actually are. Is China infiltrating our elections? I spoke with the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee yesterday, Michael McCall, and he went through how he prosecuted and investigated while he was a prosecutor back in the 90s. He investigated the CCP getting involved in President Clinton presidency. They were funding money from different areas into the Clinton campaign, and I'm wondering if they're going to do it again.
Well, if history repeats itself, which if you look at the facts with this administration and their ties to China or their weak China policy, I don't know how we come up with a different conclusion. So I'm gravely concerned, as well as I think that McCall is concerned, as well as the American people are concerned. And we have every right to be concerned, because I don't think a lot of these things that are happening with our weak on China policies would lead us to believe anything different.
Yeah. All right. We'll leave it there. Congressman, we'll be watching. Thanks very much. Lisa McClain joining us this morning. We so appreciate it. We'll be right back. Stay with us.